Hello and welcome back to Tenza Motorsports. Today we are doing a part 2, a follow-up to this video here. If you have not seen that one, there will be a link in the description below and a card up here so you can check that one out first. If you have seen that one, then welcome to the part 2 of this video. We're going to be removing the valve cover to this E36 to see how much the Royal Purple has cleaned it up. Now this car has done just over 1,200 miles since we did the Royal Purple HPS oil change in it. And I haven't checked the oil. We've been checking the level on it, but we haven't actually been keeping an eye on the cleanliness of the oil. I know that Royal Purple likes to go a little bit brown after a little bit of time, and if the engine is dirty, then it's just obviously going to make it more brown and then eventually black. Now, I know that there was a lot of people commenting, especially when we were doing the oil changes and stuff on this car. They were like, well, I can do, blah, 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 and this many miles, and why don't you run it? I'm not... Any SM Plus oil can clean a car in in 40 or 50,000 miles. I'm trying to show how fast the Royal Purple is cleaning this in 600, 700, 800 miles, how fast it can actually clean the top end of the engine. So if everybody remembers right, this engine here was mostly clean, but up by the Vanos system. So we're going to be removing this and taking a look at what it looks like now. I'm going to be running some B-roll footage. Here it is, of what the engine looked like before. So now let's get this one pulled apart. We'll also be inspecting the oil. If the oil is super dirty and the filter is bad, then we'll be replacing the oil and the filter as well in this one. And then I am going to be doing some more Royal Purple videos. I would like to do some XPR in the race car. I went and talked to a rep and he said the XPR is really good and it would be something that my race car could benefit from. So I would like to try that. But until then, let's get this one pulled apart. I'm going to move this forward. There's no hood or anything like that, which makes this pretty easy to work on, but I'm going to pull this forward a little bit and get that valve cover taken off and see exactly what Royal Purple has done in 1,250 miles. So I've had to record this several times at this point because my neighbor across the street thinks that it's appropriate to just run the weed whacker in his front yard for like 40 minutes. So if you hear a weed whacker in the background, just ignore that. Again, I'm not sure what his deal is. When I weed whack, I do it nice and quick and be done with it. I'm not sure what's going on. But anyways, I just want to mention that I did not actually go over the B-roll footage from before. So the only thing I really remember was that this was pretty dirty and this was way dirty, so I'm very surprised that this is as clean as it is now. So I do want to go over all of this real nice and close up so I can show the before and after in the same shots. But I am going to go up close here. We're going to find some spots that I can show that have been softened up, because it does soften up the really dark spots. And then, like I said over here, this is a huge improvement. I mean, that's nothing close to what it was when we pulled it off the first time. So let's take a little bit deeper of a look and we'll go from there. All right, so again, ignore the weed whacker in the background. I literally waited like 15 minutes since I recorded last time and he's still going. So I don't have much time today. I've kind of got to get this put back together real fast here. So I'm just surprised at how well this actually cleaned up this section right here. So I kind of want to go through and find a spot that still is really dirty. So actually, if you can see down in these cracks, it's pretty dirty. And then the other thing I was eyeing earlier was right here, there's like these tabs sitting in. There's one here, there's one here, there's one there. And then there's a couple on the top. This one here is really dark and the other ones are clean. And so I want to scrape on that a little bit and see how much comes off. It's almost like plaque on your teeth. it scratches off the same way. And again, I don't remember what a lot of this looks like based on our previous footage. So like these caps here, I'm not sure what that looked like, but I know for a fact that this was far dirtier. And I know that the valve cover itself, which we'll go over here in a second, was quite dirty, and it looks better. This part right here, this is the only thing that we were explaining last time when we were doing the 330. This cap right here, this other side doesn't have it. So oil's spraying up and it hits everywhere. But on this side, when the oil sprays up, it hits the bottom of this cap, comes back down. So where your valve cover sits over top of this, it doesn't get hit directly with oil. And there are these weird like boxes in the top of the valve cover. And if you're hitting it from an angle like this, the box sits like this, and so it just kind of bounces off and falls back in. So there's not really a way to clean the top of this or the top of the valve cover unless you run without this on there. So that's why half the valve cover is going to be super clean, and it's including up here looks a lot better. So hopefully that all makes sense, but I do want to kind of go over this a little bit more. We'll see, maybe we can clean some of this out here. We'll get a, like there's still a spot right there that hasn't been cleaned yet. So let me go grab my tool real quick and I'll get the camera set up and we'll actually see how easy that comes off compared to scratching it off before. I probably should have tried scratching this off in the previous video so we could see kind of how difficult it is to clean up, because the detergents in the oil soften it, right? And then it eventually breaks down by itself. So having it be soft shows that the oil itself is breaking down. And if this isn't proof enough that the Royal Purple actually cleans the engine out, I don't know what else is. On the last 330, I had a bit of an issue with a lot of people saying, well, we didn't get to see the engine before, and so that's why I put the dirty head back on, and then we went through and cleaned it again. And we are going to be doing another checkup on the 330. I don't know if that's going to be before or after this video, so that might be a little bit out of order, but this is proof right here. And I mean, how can you deny that this was super black and dark? And I'm assuming the rest of the engine was a little bit darker than it is now. Again, this was pretty clean to begin with, but this, especially like along this line right here, you can actually kind of see where it used to sit, was very dark and dirty. And we've put just around 1,250 miles on this car, and it's cleaned it up. I have not put any additional cleaners or nothing. It just has Royal Purple HPS in it. Again, I feel bad that I didn't try scratching on some of this last time we did this video, because I just wasn't thinking about it. But I know that when you go through and you try to clean this off by to scrape it off, it is very difficult to get it to come off. So I'm going to play with this spot right here and see how soft it actually is. That's pretty impressive that this was able to clean that off the way it does. Like I said, go find an engine that's really dirty like that and go and try to clean it. You'll be able to do small spots like that, but if you're trying to do large surfaces like, you know, this whole area right here, the whole top of the engine, it's gonna take a very long time, and that garbage is gonna get absolutely everywhere. Which brings me to my next point. So if it's cleaning this off, where is it going? It's going into the oil, and then it's going through the oil filter. Well, hopefully, if you've got a good oil filter, it's gonna get caught in the oil filter. So this is why a lot of times when you start putting in SN Plus oils, if you don't check your oil and your oil filter regularly after doing this, especially if you know for a fact that your engine's dirty, you can pack up your oil filter really quickly, because it's just pulled all this off. I mean, that was a lot of gunk that was on this. It pulled all that off, and now it's in the oil filter. So that can cause a lot of problems. In fact, a lot of people will go and put synthetic oil in a really dirty engine, and something major might actually happen to it, and then they blame the oil. And you see that a lot on these forums. They'll go and change their oil and stuff like that, and they'll have issues. And that's because they didn't prep or prepare to have their engine take on whatever oil they're going to. So we're gonna play with this one last spot right here. And then I wanna go through and take some really good shots of the engine so that we get some good side-by-side content. And then I'm gonna pack everything back up and we'll be done. So hopefully we can see from this position. I've got the camera zoomed in all the way, and it's difficult to get it over the engine bay like this, but there's a spot right here, and I wanna scrape that off. You can see it, this one actually cleaned up by itself. I did not touch that one until just now, so that one cleaned up. In fact, let's try to do it with the rag. So just a rag was able to clean that off. Anyways, hopefully this shows a little bit of the cleaning power that a lot of these Royal Purple and the other SN Plus oils have to them. It does work, it does clean your engine. Please be very vigilant of what you're doing. If you have a dirty engine like we just talked about, check your oil filter, check your oil constantly. Before we get too far along, I forgot to talk about the valve cover. So you can see here, all of these ones here are really nice and clean. And then this side right here is really dirty. So this is the side where that valve cover, the actual cam cover sits. And so there's no oil that's being sprayed up into this area right here. This other side's pretty clean. In fact, if you see here, you can see exactly where this one's clean and this one right, just the one section over is not. Same with right here. This is clean, this is not. So when you have all this oil spraying up, if it hits this at an angle at all, it's not going to go into this area right here. Here in the middle probably doesn't get very much because it's actually so much lower, and I believe, so these actually seal it off. So there's probably very little clearance between here to here. So it's probably very difficult for there to get oil into these middle pieces. Up here, you can see where the Vanos system sits up in here is real nice and clean. So that is indicative of this being clean as well. So we're definitely getting oil up in this area right here, and the oil is definitely cleaning a lot better than it used to. So there's the valve cover. This side will continue to clean until it is absolutely spotless, and this side probably won't change too much more. But I'm very happy with the way that everything here has been turning out. So I'm going to be putting everything back together, and then we'll wrap this up. Well, there you have it. I hope that this was convincing enough to the doubters from the other videos where I wasn't able to show what the previous engine looked like. I don't know how much more straightforward you can get than having one that's dirty, running it, and then having it not be dirty. If this isn't convincing enough, I guess leave your comment in the comment section below on how I could make this more convincing to whoever is still iffy about the results of a lot of these. I am doing some more oil testing in the future. There is a lot of small engines coming up. I am doing a couple more things on this car, so stay tuned for that. I appreciate everybody for watching. Like if you enjoyed today's content, subscribe if you are new. Check out my Patreon link in the description below. My Patreon members get to enjoy early ad-free access to a lot of my content. I record several weeks, if not several months in advance sometimes, and my Patreon members get to see that a lot sooner. Again, the link to that is in the description below. Also, make sure to check out my Snapchat and my Instagram, also linked in the description below. And until the next one, we'll see you in the next video.